this year has seen an influx of talented young players in multiple positions, each having had an immediate impact on their respective teams and deserving of recognition for their first-year achievements. So, to start, let's examine the top contenders for the American League Rookie of the Year award. Flying out to Baltimore, we've got a young player who made a splash in their debut at the major league level. This season featured the most likely winner of the AL Rookie Award, which would be Baltimore's starting third baseman, Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar has been one of the best players in the game, and not just compared to his fellow rookies. At the age of 22, he's quickly become a featured bat in the Orioles lineup, and typically hits out of the leadoff spot. During 2023, he was able to score 100 runs, drive in 82 RBI, and collect over 140 hits. 29 of those were doubles, 9 were triples, and 28 of them sailed over the fence. As far as endurance and durability go, Henderson started in 150 games. In 84 of those, he played at the hot corner. 83 of them he was also short, and in 11 of them he was the acting designated hitter. Many said Josh Young was the early favorite to win the AL Rookie of the Year because he hit .278 in April and then .318 in May. But in August, nearly 3 weeks out of the lineup allowed our projected winner to slide into the top spot. Even so, in 122 games, with 515 plate appearances, Young was able to get 127 hits, 25 doubles, a triple, and 23 long balls. At the plate, he drove in 70 batters, and while on base, he scored another 75 runs, helping out his ball club on the offensive side of the ball. Exclusively playing the hot corner, Young had a .988 fielding percentage, while turning 23 double plays and committing less than a handful of errors. His peers also acknowledged him and voted him into the All-Star game, mostly because of his league-leading range factor at .277 and his fielding percentage as an AL third baseman. Over in the National League, we've got a pair of players that both excited fans but also prevented runs from being scored with a solid glove and defensive play. In a year that many thought Arizona would be spending rebuilding, this outfielder hit the scene, and the Diamondbacks snuck into the playoffs. Well, it wasn't entirely because of this rookie's efforts, but good things happen when Corbin Carroll steps up to the plate. In his first full season with the team, he was able to collect an impressive 161 hits, 30 doubles, 10 triples, and 25 homers. He also drove in over 75 RBIs. The D-backs offense was even better off with him on the base paths, where he stole 54 bases while only getting thrown out 5 times and scoring a huge 116 runs. All of these great offensive stats caught the attention of fans and his peers, earning him All-Star honors. But he was equally as impressive on the defensive side of the ball. This is showcased by the .997 fielding percentage overall he has when covering left, center, and right field, and also by his 293 putouts and having only committed a single error all season. It's hard to top that level of production and reliability, but this young man playing first base for the Reds certainly caught the MLB by surprise. Outperforming early favorite Elly De La Cruz, Spencer Steer has been a solid pillar for the Cincinnati squad to be able to build around. In 2023, he was able to compete in 156 games, stepping up to the plate a total of 665 times. In those plate appearances, he was able to scratch out 74 runs on the base paths and collect 158 hits, 37 doubles, 3 triples, and 23 home runs. In addition to that, he was able to drive in a respectable 86 RBIs and do so with a season batting average of .271. But the most valuable part of his gameplay was definitely the utility of his glove. In 73 games at first, he only committed a handful of errors, but had a .988 fielding percentage, completing 388 putouts, executing 40 assists, along with 39 double plays. In the 47 appearances he had at third, he had 24 putouts, 59 assists, and only a handful of errors, with 3 double plays and a fielding percentage of .943. He was also shifted over to second, where he appeared 16 times and was perfect fielding the ball, able to complete 7 double plays, 24 assists, and 19 putouts. And lastly, he was also deployed in the outfield, where he also had a perfect fielding percentage and was able to complete 76 putouts and gun down a runner on the base paths. Next, let's discuss the Cy Young Awards, which were harder to pick. For the AL, it's a close choice between two AL East pitchers. We'll start with New York City. The men in pinstripes have a rock-solid ace in Garrett Cole, who, in 209 innings pitched, was able to strike out 222 batters, allowing only 6.761 hits per 9 innings pitched, while recording a league-leading 0.981 whip and 2.63 ERA. At the end of the season, he was tied for third with Gibson from the Orioles with 15 wins, putting him behind the second contender predicted to win the Cy Young for the American League. Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Chris Bassett had a career-best and league-leading 16 wins, while holding a 3.60 ERA, which is only 9th best. He finished second in innings completed, behind only Garrett Cole, but he did pass the 200 innings pitched mark. He was even in the top 10 in strikeouts, recording 186, tying for 10th place with Zach Eflin, Tampa Bay Rays righty. Shifting over to the National League, we've got 3 worthy pitchers, each with an arguable case for why they should win. We'll start with Atlanta's starting pitcher, Spencer Strider, who ran away with the strikeouts leader position, putting down 281 batters over 186.2 innings pitched, while also being the major's only 20-game winner in 2023. Blake Snell from the San Diego Padres was crazy this season, earning a 2.25 ERA with 234 strikeouts and 180 innings pitched. He collected 14 wins, while only allowing 5.750 hits per 9 innings pitched, which was best in the NL this season. The third pitcher is Zach Gallen from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was always on the grind, pitching in an NL's second-best 210 innings, while striking out 220 batters. He was even able to pitch a complete game shutout, a feat that neither of the other two was able to accomplish. On top of that, he came in second in wins with 17, losing only to Spencer Strider in this aspect. Next, let's talk about stepping up to the plate, crowning a batting champ, and knighting a few silver sluggers. For the NL, we had Marlins second-year player Luis Arraez, who cruised through the whole season and flirted with a 400 batting average, but ended up with a still impressive 354, beating out superstar Ronald Acuna Jr., who had a 337 batting average. In addition to those two, there are 8 more batters to consider for each league when thinking about potential silver sluggers. For the National League, we've got the Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman at 331, Chicago Cubs Cody Bellinger at 307, Mookie Betts from LA at 307, Bryce Harper from the Phillies at 293, Michael Harris II from the Braves at 293, William Contreras from the Brew Crew at 291, Seiya Suzuki representing the Cubbies at 285, and Xander Bogaerts from the San Diego Padres at 285. That rounds up the top 10 best batting averages. Other potential candidates include Matt Olson from the Braves, who's the NL leader in homers with 54, and also has got a 604 slugging percentage, with 139 RBIs and a total of 172 hits. Another potential candidate is the Mets first baseman Pete Alonso, who had 46 home runs and 118 RBIs. The AL was much closer, with Tampa Bay Rays' Yandy Diaz recording a 330 batting average, while Texas Rangers' Corey Seager had a 327. As for the rest of the American League hitters, we've got Toronto Blue Jays' Bo Bichette at 306, Angels' Shohei Ohtani at 304, Guardians' Josh Naylor at 308, Tampa Bay Rays' Josh Lowe at 292, Boston Red Sox' Masataka Yoshida at 289, Houston Astros' Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker at 293 and 284 respectively. And in the 10th spot is Cleveland's Jose Ramirez at 282. There's 2 other hitters we could also consider. One would be Seattle Mariners' Julio Rodriguez, who's got 180 hits, 32 home runs, and 103 RBIs. The dark horse candidate would be Marcus Semien, who accumulated 185 hits, 29 home runs, and 122 runs scored, while driving in 100 RBIs. Now, let's talk defense. Gold gloves are given to each position on the field, NL and AL. Let's start with the catcher position. The American League has a lot of different players that stepped up and played solid behind the plate, even while base stealing was becoming more prevalent. When it comes to defense, Texas Rangers starter Jonah Heim has been as reliable as a backstop can be. Boasting a career fielding percentage of .993, he's got a near-perfect .998 for the 2023 season, with over 935 putouts and 40 assists. He was a part of 8 double plays and only committed 2 errors over 116 games started. In the National League, even during the turmoil they faced after losing power hitter Rhys Hoskins for the season, the Phillies managed to play their way into the playoff picture. This is partly because of their potential Gold Glove winning catcher, JT Realmuto. In 130 games, he was able to contribute 1,190 putouts and 33 assists, while only committing 2 errors this season. Add on a .998 fielding percentage, and look at his .994 career fielding percentage, and you can see why they keep this 32-year-old veteran behind the plate in Philly. Let's move on to first baseman. The National League had an interesting assortment of all-star and superstar caliber players that put on quite a show. Still, when we're trying to make a well-researched choice, first baseman Freddie Freeman from the Los Angeles Dodgers is clearly the frontrunner. He was first in fielding percentage out of players that appeared in over 100 games at .999. Even though he started in nearly all 162 matchups this year, missing only a single game. He committed only a single error this season and helped put out over 1,125 hitters, second only to the 1,194 by Matt Olson. He had over 125 assists, second only to Dominic Smith, who had 143, and he also had over 125 double plays turned, also second only to Dominic Smith, who had 134. In the American League, the cutoff line may be thinner, but Texas Rangers first baseman Nathaniel Lowe comes out on top of Seattle's Ty France by the slightest of margins. The reason is because he leads the AL in putouts with 1,221, while France is only in third place with 1,106. He started in 161 games versus France's third-place total of 154, while also beating him not only in assists with 106 versus France's second-place 104, but also in double plays turned with 128 versus France's third-place effort at 106, and in fielding percentage with .999 versus France's .998. Now to the second baseman. The AL has a few second basemen who are solid with the glove, but only one's got the stats to separate himself from the pack. Marcus Semien, an infielder for the Rangers, has been Mr. Reliable for his Texas team with a .991 fielding percentage, top 10 in the AL, and leads the league with 162 games started. He's also got 270 total putouts, 109 double plays turned, and comes in second to Andres Gimenez in total assists, 388 to Jimenez's 401. In the NL, we head to South Beach, where Marlins second baseman Luis Arraez has made himself stand out through his play on both sides of the ball. Defensively, he leads the NL in fielding percentage over 125 starts, with .993, and in double plays turned, with 93 overall. Not to mention, he finished in the top 5 for putouts and assists, coming in 4th place for putouts with 219, and 5th in assists with 315. The third basemen are next. The National League had a few hot corner athletes who manned the position with professionalism, but when it comes to results, there's only one that takes the cake. Braves third baseman Austin Riley can be found at the top of the putoffs list with 95, tied with the Rockies' Ryan McMahon. He's got the most assists with 287 versus Mahan's second-place effort of 274, and he's got the most double plays with 38, while second best was Hayes from the Pirates with 33. He also finished just outside the top 10 in fielding percentage with 972, with the leader in that stat being Kim from the Padres with 986. In the American League, there's more autonomy, with various players leading in certain defensive categories. Here, we take a long shot. Astros third baseman Alex Bregman was the leader in games started, but also in assists with 281, 13 more than the next best player. He came in top 5 in double plays turned with 30, only behind Blue Jays' Matt Chapman, who had 35. He had 109 overall putouts, only beat by Suarez from Seattle, who had 115, and Chapman from Toronto, who had 114. His fielding percentage was .963, giving him 19th place, while DJ LeMahieu was in first place in fielding percentage with .994. Let's move on to the best shortstops. The NL has a surprise candidate. The first-year shortstop, C.J. Abrams from the Washington Nationals, has had himself an amazing year. Starting in over 145 games this season, he was able to help turn a league-leading 100 double plays and 245 total putouts. He was in the top 10 in assists, finishing third with 384, while first place had 396. And he was in the top 15 in fielding percentage at .966. The AL had a nice surprise when it came to who will replace Carlos Correa in Houston, and shortstop Jeremy Pena came onto the scene. He was able to start in a second-best 149 games, while also leading the league in putouts with 200, assists with 362, and double plays turned at 89. His .967 fielding percentage is good enough to be in the top 20, while first place in that category goes to Yu Chang from the Red Sox. Moving on to the outfield, we've got a few obvious choices, but a couple of fresh surprises as well. Let's start with the American League outfielders. Left field has a pair of athletes contending. Tampa Bay Rays' Randy Arozarena and Austin Hayes from Baltimore both completed the season with a perfect fielding percentage. What makes Arozarena come out on top would be the number of games started, 137 versus Hayes 125, the number of putouts, 245 versus Hayes 233, and finally, Arozarena leads in outfield assists and double plays turned. Center field was filled with competent players, but only one player had over 135 starts and kept a perfect fielding percentage. Cleveland Guardians center fielder Miles Straw. He was able to accomplish that with 337 total putouts, 6 outfield assists, and he helped turn a pair of double plays. Right field is a similar story to the previous 2 outfield spots. Only one player finished the season with a perfect fielding percentage over the course of 128 starts. Toronto's veteran George Springer remained perfect in right, while completing a double play and 6 outfield assists. He was able to put away 260 hitters who sent the ball his way in the outfield. Now, let's look at the National League outfielders. There are a few surprises, but let's start out in left. There are a few players that have started in more games than Arizona's Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who only's got 89, but none were able to compete with his perfect fielding percentage. In addition, he was able to throw out 8 players on the base paths and put out a total of 152 hitters with no errors. He outperformed the likes of Pittsburgh's Brian Reynolds and Milwaukee's Christian Yelich. In center field, there was a surprise player who covered the fast space in Coors Field, boasting a .997 fielding percentage over 118 starts. Center fielder Brenton Doyle has been a bright spot for the Rockies, executing 373 putouts with only a single error. He was also able to take out double-digit base runners, had 10 total assists, and participated in 3 double plays. Lastly, we find a right field player that was just as efficient as Dodgers superstar Mookie Betts, but was able to accumulate more total putouts, 254 versus Mookie's 141, and was also able to throw out more base runners with 10 outfield assists versus Mookie's 8, and turn more double plays, 4 versus Mookie's 1. We're speaking, of course, about Phillies right fielder Nick Castellanos, who started in 148 games versus Mookie's 77 right fielder starts. Last, but the opposite of least, let's move on to talk about the most valuable players in each league. This plays out as many would expect, with the Braves superstar outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. leading in the National League MVP race, while right-handed pitcher and designated hitter Shohei Ohtani is a unanimous choice for the AL MVP. Acuna finished with 149 runs scored, 217 total hits, 35 doubles, 4 triples, and 41 home runs, while driving in 106 RBIs. He led the league in steals, snatching 73, and finished the season with a .337 batting average, a .596 slugging percentage, and an OPS over 1,000. His glove was solid as well. He maintained a .983 fielding percentage while executing on 281 putouts and committing only a single error all season. Ohtani has been nothing short of one of the best players this generation. Being an effective pitcher/designated hitter, he was able to hit .304 and score 101 runs, while driving in another 95 runs from the plate. He accumulated 151 hits, 26 doubles, 8 triples, and 44 home runs, and stole 20 bases. Flipping to his pitching stats, he was a 10-game winner with a respectable .314 ERA over 23 starts. He also tossed a complete game and accumulated over 165 strikeouts. He fielded his position well too, holding a .958 fielding percentage while only committing a single error in the season. As you can see, new talents are filling in for the departing veterans, many of whom are all-star and superstar caliber players. Atop each league, we have the two faces of the game, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. Still, some newer, unknown faces will be contending for Gold Gloves and Silver Slugger awards. That's both a good sign for baseball and an exciting motivator for the next wave of prospects getting their shot in 2024. Thanks for watching. See you next time on A Cup of Baseball.